Hello there, and welcome to what will most likely be the last video of me for one of these courses. So, capping off the grand process you've been through over the past 2 semesters, basically, with these emerging multimedia practice courses. And of course, in this video, I will be going over stage 4 of your projects in MMDD 255, Emerging Multimedia Practice 2. And a lot of this, again, is things you kind of already know from last semester, but just a little bit of a review and refresh, especially in terms of how to access some of the resources that can help you along the way of putting your case study together. But most importantly, this video will also go over some of the different things going on these final 2 weeks of the semester, including the online guest speaker and then an in-person drop-in session I will be holding on campus. So let's go ahead and jump in. Here's a Blackboard page. I have the critical path open right here just to quickly review it. If we think about what you've been up to, I guess now these past 7 to 8 weeks, but it'll be this 9-week process as a whole. You started out research and planning your project for this condensed semester. Did a lot of pre-production work. That's also when I met with you one-on-one. We discussed how your project was looking, the path you were on, and making sure that you'll have a nice project at the end of this process. For stage 3, you did your production work. You would have met with your peers as well for peer feedback and just really worked on refining your production assets. And then now we move into stage 4, where you have some additional time. I think last semester you really only had maybe 1 week for stage 4. Now I'm giving you, again, around 2 weeks, and that's just to have additional time to really polish the production work that you've done, as well as really making sure you can create a nice high quality case study, since it's more important now than ever to have this strong work on your portfolio, as you will soon be finishing the program and truly out there, finding your path of where it leads you after Humber, right? So things are definitely happening quick, big changes in the future, but I think all leading to positive outcomes for you. So, yeah, right. Week 8 guest speaker, week 9 finalizing, and that's when I'll have the in-person session. So just to review that information, which I talked about in the last video as well. Week 8, which is when you should be watching this video, that Friday, March 13th, from noon to 1, I will be having a previous graduate come by for a guest speaking session. There's a meeting link here to join. I'll be giving this all out via announcements as well, just to remind y'all. The guest speaker is Anna Gordievska. She graduated in 2022, so, less than 4 years ago. And, if you look at her LinkedIn, she's had a very successful design career and just life overall, especially since leaving Humber. All kinds of stuff going on here, but even if we just look at her work history, we can see that she started out before Humber. She was doing customer experience work, but she became a product designer for a co-op, right, while here at Humber. Has done some work still with Humber as a mentor and tutor and things like that. But eventually, February 20, so even before she graduated in 2022, she was hired by Deloitte, huge company, as a product designer, and collaborating with, government agencies, nonprofit organizations, Fortune 500 companies. Lots of big, important work happening there. And what's interesting, too, is if we take a look at on her resume, LinkedIn thing here, it also says, the product designer, she was remote here for this position, remote here for this position as well. Granted, that was kind of lockdown COVID era. She was a student during that period as well. Then became a product designer for this other company, also a remote opportunity that she did. And it's interesting saying how LinkedIn helped her get these jobs as well. So she can talk more about this obviously in the talk, but I'm just kind of showing you all the stuff she's been up to. She now has her own sort of design firm service that she runs, also remote. And then her most recent sort of career milestone is that she's a lead product designer, manages a whole team of designers for Realtor.ca, which I think is like the leading online realtor platform for the country. Been there 8 months, and this is a hybrid opportunity. So what's really interesting too, looking through this work history, is that it's a lot of remote work and then some hybrid work too. And if we think about this class, the projects you've been doing, so much of it sort of subliminally is about getting you to develop remote worker, hybrid worker skills to just basically keep yourself on track, to build tasks and goals, even when there isn't always a very clear direction of what you're supposed to be doing, having to kind of figure that out on your own. That's a really big learning lesson that comes from these classes beyond just, making a good portfolio project. It's about developing those skills as well. And Anna will be able to talk about how she developed those skills and such, and what it's been in her career as well. So some more information about her there, but really recommend and encourage you to drop by. And, I am also, giving out an extension opportunity if you come to the talk. I really want Anna to have a lot of students there, right, to get the valuable information that she'll be able to share and her experiences. So if you go to this online session, you will get an extension on your stage 4 submission from Friday at 11 p.m. to the following Monday at 11:59. So that gives you an additional weekend and a day to work on this submission further. And remember, stage 4, there's no late waivers, so you can't be relying on that. You can't be relying on having an additional week to work on this submission because the semester will be over by that point. But like I said, this is an opportunity for an extension, so that's hopefully a good incentive for you to drop by this session, even though I think you just should anyway without that kind of reward. And then drop-in session in person on campus week 9. I will be there Friday, March 20th from noon to 3 o'clock at the BCTI 306, and I'll just be there. Drop-in session, come by, connect. You'll be finishing your projects at this point, right? So your project is due that night, unless you get the extension, is due the following Monday. But I'm there for any final tweaks, discussion, just also, again, connect with other students who are there as well. I realize y'all see each other a lot on Thursdays. But just I have it there as an opportunity here at the very end of the semester, just as a final touch point with your projects, and it'll be an in-person session just to kind of balance a lot of the online stuff that we've been doing. So those are the two main things that I would say are honestly most important from this video and from this stage, because it's the only things that are a bit different than how it's been before. Because otherwise, for stage 4, again, here's all the overview, but you know the process. You have all your production work completed, so now it's about tweaking it, refining it to be in a very highly polished state as you put together your case study. So that's also very high quality and polished and great as well for your portfolio and career. Now, I might say this a couple times. I know that you're obviously working on a portfolio website and things like that with Rob. And maybe, again, he's not using Behance, obviously. He's having you put your work directly on your website. So you might think, okay, why am I having to put this project in 2 different places or something like that? But yes, you'll put it on Behance for this class. But keep in mind the structure, the information, the examples, all that stuff, you can just easily transfer it onto your portfolio website. It shouldn't be that much work. So you don't have to think about it as being 2 separate projects. You can think about creating the flow and the story and the asset here for this class of your case study, and then you can just follow that on your website as well, so you can have your portfolio work everywhere. So yes, it's all about your case study basically at this stage, and just having a strong final project. The only other thing is that the sharing board, I'm having it encouraged but not required this time, just because the timeline doesn't fully match up that easily with this 9-week thing, and I want to give you pretty much till the end of the 9th week to be working on this submission. So you're encouraged to share it there, but there's no requirement for peer feedback and things like that, just because it's a bit, on my end, a bit harder to manage this time around. But there is a feedback form that I do want you to complete, and basically submit proof that you completed it. This is the guideline for your case study. Make sure you follow this format. Be honest about any AI use in your technology used. That will make sure that you are demonstrating that you're an innovative designer and creator. You aren't relying on AI to do everything for you, but you're using it as a creative tool, which at this point I'm sure is a very huge question that comes up in interviews is, okay, how do you use AI? What do you think about it? And so being able to have work where you can say, look, I leveraged AI to do something creatively. I didn't use it to do all of my work for me, but you can see that I have a strong sort of creative vision and process with what you do, right? So this is all helping you for the future, but starting it with a wow moment, bing, bang, bam, drawing in the audience, making them want to look at your work, basically. And that wow moment is something you can put, again, on the homepage, on your portfolio website, or anywhere, right? The overview of your project, your goal, again, the technologies, going through your creative process as a story, and then the final project. You can kind of think about it like a narrative as well, right? You sort of lay the foundation of the context of the kind of what is it called? The exposition of the story you're going to tell, which is the project you're building. And then you go through sort of the narrative arc and the rising action of what you created. And then it reaches the climax and conclusion of the final work. And then you have sort of a concluding thing at the end to kind of tie it all together. So think about it like that, right? Some examples here of successful and strong case studies. I have some examples of some of you from last semester that had some standout case studies. So look at those. Connect with these classmates as well. Ask them about how they put their stuff together. Again, you can just get a sense of the level of quality and work and creativity put into some of these case studies that obviously could be beneficial to all of you. So connect with one another and collaborate, discuss. There's also a bunch of other examples here, of course, too, from previous students. I have a bajillion of these, but these are some strong standout case studies. And then all kinds of resources here as well about using Behance if you need a refresh on that, building good case studies, some of the writing around it, all these things. So tons of resources, tons of things for you to dig in here, examples, structure, just everything to help you when putting together your own case study. And that just leads to the final submission, where you get no late submissions, but you have your final timesheet, your final project plan with everything checked off, your final case study, right? And then there's a link to the guideline. Once again, encouraged to share on the sharing board, but not required. And then proof that you completed this feedback form. So just a screenshot at the end of it, basically. It's anonymous. But some things for your timesheet, and then the guidelines here, as it's been the whole 2 semesters, basically. So it should all be very routine for you at this point. And it's just a matter of tying this up with a nice bow and moving forward. And that's why this form is here as well for you to fill out, because it's just some final data and information for me to get basically on the student experience across both of these classes, right? So think about what you've been up to with these projects and your project work, and just kind of talking about the development of some of the skills throughout these projects. Again, your desire to work remotely or hybrid, and just various questions like this, as well as any additional comments here. So fill this out, again, 3 to 5 minutes maybe. It's just a way for you to reflect on, capping off these classes and what you've learned from it, as well as me to just get feedback as well on how these classes went for students, and then how they may be improved in the future, right? Having things like Anna come by, having things like running the in-person drop-in. Those are some things I got from feedback from students before, so I'm just trying to make some adjustments, every semester to better accommodate student needs and make the class more successful for what students need to get out of their projects. So I think that's it in terms of Blackboard and all of this grand old stuff. Once again, I will be signing off. This will be the last video unless I make some other special one. I don't think I will, but we'll see. Otherwise, come by the in-person session. It would be great to see you, sort of, tie up our connection with each other as well. Student-professor relationship. And, it's funny because you mostly know me being online, but that would be an opportunity for you to finally see me in 3 dimensions. And I was going to say as well, the guest speaker that Anna's going to come by, that's also an opportunity too. I can stick by after the meeting if anyone has any questions about the projects then as well. Just making sure I'm here as a resource for you to use. You can always message me and things like that as well, just as you're working on finishing these projects up and finishing off your courses this semester, and, doing your co-op and all of these grand things as, like I said, you near your eventual graduation. So best of luck as you finish up all of these things before you embark on the future. All right. Excellent.